Welcome back, everybody, to another dicondissectional production hosted by Deathstroke9. Today we're starting the night's proceedings with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. The song is Ohio, one of the most requested songs since I started doing CSN and Y, or just Crosby, Stills, and Nash as well. So, yeah, if you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Daniel, aka Deathstroke9, and here we react to music, and I try to figure out what the music and the lyrics mean to me personally. Then we do research on the songs. Now, this song specifically, I already got a little bit of information from my awesome viewers about what the song's about because it's pretty important. So, this song is about the events of May 4th, 1970, when the U.S. National Guard shot 4 unarmed students at Kent State University in Ohio. Neil Young wrote it shortly after seeing a news report on the tragedy, and it was released 10 days after the shootings, all right? And we're going to probably do more information about, we're going to do more research into the song itself, but that's the foundation that we've got, all right? If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing if you enjoy this type of thing. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, all right. There's a little video that goes with it, I believe. This is the one that you guys were requesting me to do, so here we go. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. End the war. Stop the killing in Vietnam. Listen to that guitar. Instrumentation on this is incredible. And pause it there, and actually I want to bring it back and read those names. Jeez. Very heavy subject matter. I think songs are very... This shows another reason. We've talked about different reasons why music is important. That has scientifically proven effects on your thinking and on your mood. It can be entertainment. It can be inspiring. There's all types of stuff that goes with music. Here, they're taking history and putting it to song. For thousands of years, that is one of the main ways that we passed on knowledge of certain, historical events. And it's important to do that. So, awesome that they decided to do this, and absolutely terrible what happened. I almost can't even imagine. Like, I've lost people close to me before, but it's still like someone brutally murdered by someone who's supposed to be protecting you. Yeah, that's, all right. I'm going to pause it again when we get to their names. Allison, Jeffrey, Sandra, and William. Thank you for joining me, by the way. Let's go. Most of them.
Soldiers and Nixon's coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming. For dead in Ohio. 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 How many more? For dead in Ohio. Why?
He's just calling out in desperation. Wow. What a great protest song, really. Wow. Like, it's a rockin' tune as well. Let's see what the comments under this are. Who's listening to this now in the midst of the protests? You know why you're here. It's been 50 years since this massacre. Let us not forget. This person writes, I was wounded pretty badly in Vietnam. On my way home in a hospital plane, we stopped at Anchorage. I got off the plane and walked using a cane past a newspaper machine that had the classic photo of the Kent State girl kneeling and crying over one of the dead students. 3 additional injured soldiers walking with me saw the photo and shrieked, "Good for the effing hippies. Let them all die or go to Canada." I was devastated, both that these kids were shot and that the other guys with me had no compassion or understanding of what our democracy meant. I love Neil Young's Ohio. What a great rock song with great guitar and vocals. It will always be an anthem to me and represent our duty to protest and voice our discontent. Wow. And this person writes this, which is, thank you for doing this. Jeffrey Miller, Allison Krause, William Schroeder, and Sandra Schuer. All right. Age 2019. So age 19 through 20 for all the students. And a bunch of other, a lot of other kids wounded. Joseph, John, Thomas, Alan, Dean, Douglas, James, Robert, and Donald. Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Yep. All right. Let's take a look at the exact lyrics. Tin soldiers and Nixon coming. Okay. Pretty straightforward right from the get-go. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming for dead in Ohio. Gotta get down to it. Soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been done long ago. What if you knew her and found her dead on the ground? How can you run when you know? You can't run. You have to stand and fight. And it's so... Yeah. Gotta get down to it. Soldiers are cutting us down. Should have been done long ago. What if you knew her and found her dead on the ground? How can you run when you know? Tin soldiers and Nixon coming. We're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming for dead in Ohio. We've got why, oh, why, for, how many more. All right, let's take a look. This is from the album Four-Way Street, charted number 14 in the U.S. This song is about the event. Yeah, I read that to you already. The Kent State shootings had a profound effect on some of the students who later became prominent musicians. Chrissy Hind was a student at the time and eventually formed the Pretenders. Mark Mothersbaugh and Jerry Cassell were also on campus, and after the shootings, they developed the band Devo based on the concept of de-evolution, meaning the human race was regressing. Okay. He said, it refocused me entirely. I don't think we would have done Devo without it. It was the deciding factor that made me live and breathe this idea and make it happen. In Chrissy Hind's case, I'm sure it was a very powerful single event that was traumatic enough to form her sensibility and account for a lot of her anger. It was the first time I'd heard a song about something I'd been a participant in. It affected us. It was part of our life. A tin soldier is a toy soldier mindlessly controlled by its owner. In this song, Young likens the National Guard troops to tin soldiers controlled by Nixon. It's likely he got the metaphor from the original, the 1969 song by the original cast called One Tin Soldier, which went to number one in Young's Native America. It was an American hit 2 years later for the band Coven. Other songs with the phrase in the title include The Little Tin Soldier by Donovan and Tin Soldier by the Small Faces. Jerry Castle gave Songfacts this account of the shootings. All right? So we're going to read through this whole thing. So thank you for joining me. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I want to educate myself on this. I'm sure a lot of my viewers already know. I was a student. I was a member of SDS, an anti-war group called Students for a Democratic Society, trying to restore democracy at a time when LBJ and Nixon were running amok over it. There were several other anti-war groups. That protest that day where everybody got shot was a protest against the expansion of the Vietnam War into Cambodia. It was a secret expansion. Nixon had done it the night before, and we found out about it the next day. The whole nation did. They did it without an act of Congress, without passing any new law or having any meetings. It was completely unconstitutional. And yes, that is. So we're out here at noon. About 3.5 thousand students at Kent State were out there. The governor, who was certainly a pro-war kind of guy, Governor Rhodes, had placed the National Guard inside the heating plant of the school the night before, anticipating what would happen when the students found out about Cambodia. Not only did he do that, but he waited until about 9 a.m. on May the 4th to declare martial law, which suspends all First Amendment rights of the Constitution, meaning that any assembly is automatically illegal and you're automatically committing a crime. These National Guardsmen poured out of the heating plant, surrounded the protesters, and with a bullhorn announced that martial law had been declared and that we were all going to jail. Everybody started chanting and screaming, and they started shooting tear gas, and some of the more ballsy protesters, while they're coughing and choking and puking, are trying to throw it back. But most of the kids were anywhere from 50 to 100 yards away from these lines of National Guardsmen with guns. Nobody believed the guns were actually loaded with live ammo. They just suddenly formed a row. First one knelt, second one stood, and they just shot right into the crowd, shot at all of us down the hill. The worst thing about it is that 2 of the 4 students killed weren't part of the demonstration, and they weren't part from an anti-war group. They'd just come out of the class from the journalism building at that time, and had come out on their way to the next class, and were looking at the protests, just seeing what the hell's going on, and they got killed. The bullets just went everywhere. It was like a scattergun approach, like shooting geese. A lot of the bullets went over the heads of the protesters and kept on going straight down the hill. One of the kids that's paralyzed for life was getting into his car to leave campus after his class, and they shot him in the back. He was at least 200 yards away and wanted nothing to do with what was going on. It was shocking, pretty much knocked any hippie I had in me right out of me that day. I have been a member of the Honors College, and the only way I went to school was with a scholarship. My family was poor, and I got a scholarship to go to school. What I had to do every year to earn my scholarship was work 3 months in the summer for the university, admitting new students to the Honors College. The incoming freshmen helped them arrange their curriculum, taking them through the registration process. The summer before, I had befriended Jeffrey Miller and Allison Krause, 2 honor students, and they turned out to be 2 of the 4 killed on May the 4th. So I'd known both of them 9 months before this happened, and so when I realized that this girl on her stomach with a huge exit wound in her back with blood running down the sidewalk was Allison, I nearly passed out. I sat down on the grass and kind of swooned around and lied down. I was in shock and I couldn't move. The government and the press tried to lie about what was happening as well as they could. The fact that anybody knows what happened is amazing because they did such a good job of muddying it up and lying. It was amazing. The final chapter there was that the parents of the students who were shot and killed banded together and went on a class action lawsuit against Governor Rhodes in the state of Ohio and the National Guard, and lost across the board. The kids that were shot were 18 and 19 years old. Interesting that this comment over here said that they were 20, 19, 19, and 20, but okay. They lost because by law, no one was allowed to be having a protest once the martial law was declared, and they threw it out of the court system. I don't think anybody wants to know the truth. It ruins the myth of freedom in America to find out how easily it can be gone. Young considers this the best song he wrote with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. He included this on his 1977 Greatest Hits album, Decade. It became a protest anthem as Americans became fed up with the war on Vietnam. Providing a first-hand account of the shootings and the effect of the song, Alan Canfora told us on May 4th, 1970, I was waving a black protest flag as a symbol of my anger and despair 10 days after I attended the funeral of my 19-year-old friend killed in Vietnam. I was about 250 feet away from the kneeling, aiming guardsmen from Troop G, the death squad, minutes before they marched away up a hillside. They fired 67 shots from the hilltop during 13 seconds of deadly gunfire, mostly from powerful MI rifles. I was shot through my right wrist. I survived because I jumped behind the only tree in the direct line of gunfire. About a week later, I was riding in the Ohio countryside with other Kent State Massacre survivors when WMMS radio played the song Ohio for the first time. We were deeply moved and inspired by that great anti-war anthem. This was released as a single, but the song did not appear on an album until Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young included it on their live album, Four-Way Street, a year later. Young was a vocal critic of American foreign policy throughout the Vietnam War and became a voice of dissent during the George W. Bush administration when songs like Let's Impeach the President spoke out against the president and his war in Iraq. History places the blame for the Kent State shootings on the National Guard soldiers and those who gave them the orders. But according to the Ken Burns documentary, The Vietnam War, a poll taken soon after the event showed that 58% of Americans blamed the students. By this time, protest movements had divided into two different factions, some using bombings and anarchy to get attention. Many Americans didn't want to support the war, but were on the side of law and order. Respondents to this poll had limited information, which certainly skewed results, but there is no question that many blamed the students. Thank you for joining me, my friends. Remember that when there is, and I guess that's the lesson. And I'm going to try to keep this not, like, political, but I'm going to, or, you know, as politically neutral as I can. I'm going to say that our democracy in America is supposed to work because the people, you know, decide how things are done. And when a president or any person does something like that, that's when it's time to take a stand against it, at least in my opinion. But that's just me. Thank you for joining me. I will see you guys soon. This was a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but we are Legion, my friends. Deathstroke 9 out. Stay tuned for more. Let me know what else by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Just Neil Young. Any of them just by themselves. These are some top-notch musicians and songwriters. Thank you for joining me.